In this episode, we're going to be looking at how we can add bow and some arrows to our game. So in my game, you can equip the bow. Let's do that. And arrows. And now the bow's equipped. Picked it up, it went into our inventory. The arrows there. When you press the space key, we shoot arrows. We turn directions. And the arrow shoots. Okay, so not only are we going to recreate this, not the inventory, but the bow, but maybe something new, a little bit different, something even better than this. All right. So we'll get down to it. And so I'm going to switch over to this game here. And in one of my last videos, I showed how to create this costume, and we'll just look at it. We had a Quip R is what I named it, and it's a sword, and we pick it up, and now we have it, and we can attack. Okay, and we're looking right here at that project, and we're gonna put that our equipped our sprite into our backpack. And in a previous video, I made a spell, and that sprite is also in our backpack. So coming over here, I'll reset this game. All right, so we have a character here. There's no spells, no attacking, nothing yet. And so we're just gonna merge some of these two sprites into this game, merge them together, make them into a arrow attacking, and maybe more. We'll see what we can do. And there's a script that I used from another video as well that I'll probably end up using. Okay, so I brought in some things from my backpack. We'll bring in the spell. And right off the bat, I know the spell needs to be adjusted to go to player one. And we're casting a spell right off the bat. That's great. Super easy. We have an attack already just by bringing in the spell. And with our equipped, there's a sword. Walk up to it. We can't pick it up though. All right. So we'll go right over to that and work on that first with our equip bar. And if touching, and Miss Wallace has a space between player and one. So reselect that, reset. I think it should work now. Okay. Switch to the arrow for some reason. And not a whole lot's happening. And that's okay. So by bringing these two things in, we do have this new variable called direction, and its value is 0. So I'm going to go over to player one, and I brought some code over. I'm just going to bring that in just to look at it. And I didn't even see it come in, but there it is. And I'm just going to look at that. And that has to do with costume switching, which is probably good. I'm going to leave this here. So when I press the space key, these things happen. Well, we'll get to that in a minute. So jumping right into the code, I know that what I need is this variable called direction, and I need to set it to a value. So I'll bring this in and say set direction to down. And if you watched a previous video, it makes sense to start the game at down. All right. And so I restart the game. Direction is down. I grab the sword that I made. It's not there. Direction is down. Nothing's changing. So I need to go into all these spots. And I'm going to set my direction to a value, capital R for right. And I did this in a previous video, but hasn't been done yet on this project. So just bringing it in. It's adding more time to my video, but just showing how you can, no matter where you are in your game, you can add something like this in. So this is going to be up. And I'll duplicate that. Put that right above. And I think this is the last one. So E. And there we go. So now when I move around, my direction is moving around well. And so I'm just going to go in and turn off the variable so I know direction works now. I've got that going. And I'm not really worried about counting coins or keys at the moment. And my X and Y variables, okay, I can leave those around, I suppose. But I'll move them down here so we can see better. All right, so we have the swords in there. First thing, all right, off the bat, just coding and doing things, it's just too big. It's sitting on the ground. It's, my guy can't even pick that up. That's better. Okay. I mean, it's harder to see, but at least it is the size that it sort of would be. Okay. And so I'm happier with that. That just was a problem. Okay. I'm casting my spell, and we'll deal with that in a minute. So all right. So we go to pick up the sword, and it's moving around a little bit. It's not really going to us. So if touching player one, I bet you there's another place here. Go to player one, where it's just you have the space there for your name. So when we import items, it makes it harder. And so now I think it'll stay with us. So we're going to pick this up. And the sword has some code. It has some code to look like we're attacking, even though we don't have any code on our person. We are attacking sword. So that's good. So we brought the sword in. We have a spell. We can attack. We really haven't done a whole lot. We just imported some things. And we have two different types of attacks already. Now we don't have an attack up. And we don't have one to the left. And in a way, I did that intentionally. All right. So now we don't want this necessarily to be a sword. We're going to work with this and make this a bow. So here's the bow costume. It's called bow. So right off the bat, let's start off by, we're not going to call it the arrow, we're going to call it the bow. And there it is. It starts off and it looks like a bow. Of course, when I pick it up, it still does everything else like it's a sword, because the only thing I changed was the fact that it was a bow right at the start. Right? Except the game and showing you that it's a bow. Okay. Now, there's a lot of different ways we can go from here. And so I don't want to just keep deleting different things, because, hey, these are decent costumes. They match up with having a sword and attacking with the sword. So we're just going to keep going and do it the same way. And we're going to duplicate these bows. And we have a few different ones. And each one will be a costume depending on which direction we're facing. And we'll flip it around and make those bows work with our different costumes. There's one thing though, we're going to have to change the way that we do things. And so this code that we're going to bring in is one that we use a lot, and we're going to join two things together. We're going to join our not just direction together, but we're going to join in what this variable here, I'm going to duplicate that, equip R is, right? And that's going to be what our costume is. So when we go into our costumes, we can't just have this be D. This has to be sword D. And this has to be sword, and really that should probably be D1, but maybe none of this is perfect. I keep working at it, and when I record every little thing, I might make a mistake here and there, and maybe I don't fix them. Sometimes I fix my mistakes off screen. A lot of the things that I'm doing here is just kind of showing you the basics of what you would do. And it's up to you to run with that. And so every costume now, and this is why I switched it to R and L and all of that, is because now I have to still type in sword for each one. I mean, I could highlight it and copy it and paste it each time. At this point, I'm almost done with the swords. So I've just been going in while I'm talking and typing in sword in front of each one. Right. Just like all these bows are going to be bow whatever, okay? And like bow D and bow D2. And I might not want to make a bunch of bow Ds until I know what bow D looks like. So there's going to be a bow up. And there's definitely going to be a bow left. And right. And so on and so forth. Okay. And so part of it is naming things, making the graphics to do the things that you want to do, coding those graphics in. And right now, even though I did all that, that doesn't make a difference. It's, well, I'm still, when I pick this up, it should go to the sword, yeah, because it's still coded to do all that it did before. Now, I didn't show that in this video, but I have previous videos where I created this. So, looking at it again, so in a lot of ways, if I want to keep the sword aspect, I need to make that into a clone. I have to clone the sword and then make another clone and make it the bow. Or another option is I just say, forget the sword part and I turn this into a bow for right now. And that's what I'm going to do in this video. I don't want to make it super long and all of that. So now when I say set equip to bow, nothing's going to happen because the rest of my code is all of this and then sword, right? So if I change this to bow, right, now I have the bow. And we're in a super similar situation as we were before with the sword when we did all this. And so a lot of the work that we're going to need to do from here is the same, except for with the bow. So I'm going to stop this video here and I'm going to do all of those things off screen. And I'm going to make a new movie video showing what to do from there. So you want to make your different costumes, make it all work with your bow now that you've picked it up and be ready for the next video.